We're live at Gear Expo 2017. I'm Matt Jaster, Senior Editor of Gear Technology Magazine, and our guest today is Patrick Potter, Director of Sales from Cincinnati Gearing Systems. Thanks for joining us, Patrick.
Sure, Matt. Thank you.
Today's topic is questions to ask your gear manufacturer. So I'm going to play the role of the gear manufacturer looking for some information. We're going to start with what experience do you have with the gears I'm buying?
Well, as we all know, there's many different kinds of gears. You have spur gears, single helical, double helical, worm gears, bevels, internal and external. And so what you want to make sure with your gear manufacturer is that they have some level of experience with the actual kind of gear that you need. It doesn't mean that they have to have thousands of references, but they should be able to demonstrate some experience. You don't want to be the guinea pig. So if you're buying a small automotive style spur gear, they should be able to show that they've made plenty of those. If you're buying turbo machinery, you know, a 2-meter high-speed, high-power bull gear that's very high gear quality, like a quality 15, you want to see that they've done many of those in the past. You don't want to be the first one.
Okay. What if somebody asks if you can audit my design and make suggestions?
Yeah, one feature that you'd really like to have in your gear manufacturer is some engineering expertise, both from a design standpoint and a manufacturing standpoint. You may have a design that you came up with that you're pretty comfortable with. Maybe you've had it looked at by some other people, but a good gear manufacturer will be able to look at that design and make possible changes to make it both more economical to make and possibly function better in the application. So basically, you want your gear manufacturer to add value to your process by bringing that engineering expertise.
And let's talk a little bit about heat treat facilities. Do you have your own heat treat facilities?
Ideally, a gear manufacturer should own their own heat treating facility. So it's not a complete requirement and it's not even all that common. But when you do find that, you'll realize some benefits in different ways. If a gear manufacturer has their own heat treat, that means that they're very accustomed to dealing with distortion issues and the different problems and issues that may come up with heat treating. They should have already been very well addressed. So it kind of takes one variable out of the equation. And it should also make things more economical for you. Their scrap rate should be lower, and their delivery times and price should be a little better.
What about offering engineering services?
This gets back a little bit to the design side of things. If you're buying enclosed drives, this means complete gearboxes that have been designed from scratch. You really need to have a gear manufacturer that has a lot of experience in that area. So a good gear manufacturer will have FEA experience. They'll be able to provide 3D models that can match up with whatever software you're using. If you're doing high-speed gearing, they should have rotordynamic expertise, so they should be good at vibration analysis, things like that. And they should be able to manufacture to different standards, not only AGMA, but API, DNV, ABS, things like that.
Okay. Another key point would be to discuss the quality system.
Exactly. It's not a complete requirement that your gear manufacturer be, for example, ISO certified, but it does give you a certain comfort level. And in lieu of maybe having many references for a specific design, if they can demonstrate that they're ISO certified, that gives you a feeling that they're going to be reliable in terms of quality. So a really good gear shop would be ISO 9001, and if they're doing automotive gearing, you would expect them to be TS 16949. Going forward into next year, you would expect them to also be IATF certified.
Do you offer any field service?
That's something you would really like to have in any gear manufacturer, is once you've got so many gears out in the field, whether they're single gears or complete gear drives, you want to have that support that if you can call them, they can send their technician out to the field, tear down a unit, inspect it, and support that equipment. So it's, again, not a hard and fast requirement, but it'd be a nice feature to have.
How about rebuild capabilities?
This fits right in with the service aspect. If you have units out in the field and the technician goes out and he finds some issues that can't be addressed in the field, really you want to be able to send that unit back to the gear manufacturer and have them tear it down completely and rebuild it to new specs. And even more so if you have, say, many different models of gearbox, not just from that gear manufacturer, but refineries, people like that, they're operating all different brands of gearboxes, and it would be nice to have a gear manufacturer that could service all those units in their own shop.
What kind of gearbox testing can you do?
This is along the enclosed drive lines again, but once you rebuild a unit, or if you built one from scratch, you really want to be able to spin test it according to the latest standards. So these are both AGMA and API standards, but a no-load 4-hour full-speed spin test with complete vibration data and temperature data would be something you'd kind of expect a top-tier gear manufacturer to be able to provide.
Okay. And then these are some general questions that I think everybody should ask. How long has your company been in business?
Yeah, you know, that just relates to the stability of a company. These days there's a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and it's hard to tell who's going to be there a year from now or 2 years from now. You know, if you buy millions of dollars in equipment and then 3 years from now you can't get it serviced, that's not great. So, you know, you're looking for maybe 10 years, something like that, of stability would be good.
And then another question would be, is your company privately or publicly held?
Yeah, and that's kind of a preference thing. You know, sometimes a family-owned company can give you that more direct level of service. Then again, a large publicly held company, you could imagine that they have deep pockets and they may be more stable. But we've seen that lately that's really not the case every time. So it's just something to be aware of. Not anything required one way or another, but certainly the buyer should know what he's getting into.
Do you have any other questions or anything to add to what we've discussed today? Or?
I don't think so, Matt. I think it was a good discussion. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today.
All right, very good.